Hey, welcome back, everyone. I'm Steve Holm. I'm sitting with
Jason Nelson.
Jason. We're going to talk a little bit about personal finance, mostly to the younger generation, and hoping that it can eventually help somebody of all ages. So, potentially the video will get at least one view. And hopefully that view is and I don't mean this in a joke, this is how I live how I post.
Yeah.
I hope that it can change a life to help fulfill my goal in life, which is to inspire everyone that I interact with to wake up excited to live life and to go to sleep fulfilled and grateful for their life. Okay? Those two things. In that effort, I'm sitting down with Jason, hoping that I can learn from you some personal finance budgeting and stuff like that I can continue to teach to other people.
Yeah.
So let's start off with Dave Ramsey, which my viewers are pretty aware that I don't follow his way, but I do recommend it to the average person, right? So I say it like this: it's great advice for the average person. It's great advice for pretty much all employees, actually. Pretty much all employees. The number one concept he teaches is spend less than you make. Like, you can
basic stuff, like just straightforward stuff,
like
common sense.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking about it. When I think about it, I'm sitting here like, why don't you guys just pay me to tell you to spend less than you make, you know? But anyway, that's my joke. But you mentioned something earlier, and you said every dollar has a name. I've never heard that, and you need to tell me what it means.
And that's a Dave Ramsey thing. And so I don't want to hijack any of his stuff. Most of this is his stuff, his curriculum, his books. His stuff is great. As you climb in wealth and your financial situation is more dynamic, there's other things to add in to his philosophy. A lot of it still applies, but for the average American, the average middle class American down to my kids, and it's my kids, these concepts apply very well. And so on the premise of budgeting, you should look at, I'm going to back up, 16-year-old kid who doesn't need to worry about budgeting because they have no expenses, probably. I mean, I guess if they game some and how much they're spending on their gaming.
Or lemonade stands or anything.
Yeah. So every dollar that comes into your possession, you need to put a name to it, right? And have no free-floating dollars. And so, meaning you're paying attention to what's coming in, and you're paying attention to what's going out. But you're putting a name on it, meaning that these dollars, let's just say you have $100 that come in, and you should be creating an emergency fund. So every 16-year-old should have $50 in their wallet or somewhere where they never touch it, no matter what, unless the absolute worst thing they can think of happens, and then they would pull that $50 out and use it. And then they would do everything they can to save it, to replace it. So that $50 is their emergency money.
What about when they're with their friends at Walmart and they're going to be absolutely intimidated, absolutely embarrassed if they don't have any money? They can't buy a sucker, but they have $50.
It's not an emergency.
Okay, so
it has to be an emergency.
Yeah, the way I actually like to think about it in my construction business is, what amount of money are we ready to set aside to pay the bankruptcy lawyer? That's my mindset. It's like
it's emergency money.
It's emergency money of all emergency monies. It's not. It's not when payroll is late. It's when we're filing bankruptcy we pay the lawyer.
Yeah.
You know, so that there are different levels of emergencies. For example, if your car breaks down, some people call that an emergency, but it's not. Life can always get worse, right?
So you're gonna put your money in different buckets, different envelopes. Dave Ramsey talks about basically the cash budget and envelopes. So I'm gonna call them envelopes. So you'd have an emergency money envelope. You would have a car breakdown because it's an old piece of crap envelope. You would have maybe I missed payroll envelope. You would decide how much you need in that for that envelope to be full. And maybe you need $15, maybe you need $3,000 in the maybe I go over payroll envelope, right? So that's an emergency fund, but it has a specific name to it, right? If you have potential health risks, you don't have health insurance, you will have a health fund where if I have to go to the ER, I'm gonna dip into my health fund, and you're gonna figure out how much does that need to be.
And this is where your name in the dollar is.
Name in the dollar, every dollar.
That's where your name in the dollar is when I hand you $5 because whatever. I'm nice. I buy something. I bought some lemonade. I give you $5, and you have 5 envelopes, and you at that point would name every dollar before any is spent, right?
Yeah. So by putting the envelopes, you are structuring your financial life before it happens. And this is true on every level. I don't care if you make $1 million a year. This is still true. $1 million a year, those envelopes are going to change, but it still applies because $1 million a year, you're going to be like, hey, how much do I need for that next project that I'm doing? That's going to be my next project envelope. How much do I need for attorney fees? This is my attorney fee envelope. Is it full? If it's not, I need to put some into it. If it is full, great. I don't need to contribute any this month. And then you're going to have your investment money, maybe your real estate new deal money.
New deal.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a new deal.
That's right. So anything that you have come in, you're going to put a name on it. Fun money, entertainment money, vacation envelope money, new car money, anything that there's not an envelope that says discretionary spend whatever you want money.
There is not.
Or if there is, then you have a dollar amount what that needs to be. So
Okay.
for example, me and my wife, we did a discretionary money envelope. It's like a $50 a month. That $50, she doesn't have to ask me or talk to me. She spends it whatever she wants. Sometimes it's $100. It varies.
Sure.
That money is hers. I don't need to account for it. I don't care. She can blow it on.
It's
the
such
most
a money.
ridiculous
It's for
stuff.
whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's literally for
Yeah.
whatever you want. It's spur of the moment.
Yeah.
You're walking through the store and that actually looks good. I'll grab it.
So what this looks like in real time. So let's say my monthly budget. Let's say my income for my job is $5,000 a month. That's what I'm making, and I have a family. I have a mortgage. I have a car payment. I pay insurance. My kids love Christmas. I want to do some vacation. I want to take the wife out on a date once in a while. So I'll literally have family vacation envelope, entertainment envelope, date night envelope, car insurance envelope. If you pay your car monthly, fine. If you pay it every 6 months, you have to have an envelope you're building. So when that 6 months comes along, you're like, oh yeah, here's my envelope for what I need. You just pull it out and pay it, right? You have your mortgage envelope, which you empty every month. You may say, hey, I want to have one extra payment in my mortgage envelope. So you're going to build that up in your envelope. So every time dollars come in every month, you're going to go through and you're going to check each one of those envelopes and whether they're spent every month or whether it's something you accumulate. You're going to make sure that that's in there. So every dollar of that $5,000 goes in one of those envelopes. If I get to the end of it and I'm like, hey, I've got an extra $1,000 left. Well, that's either investment money, that's play money, whatever I want to call it. I don't have any just free-floating dollars and I don't know what's what, right? You have a name on every single thing. Now, hopefully, you'll get to the point where those names are new car, new Corvette money, or 12th house money, or new yacht money, or something like that. But no matter how big the money is or the deals are, you still know where that money is. When it comes in, you know where it's going, right?
Yeah.
You don't let it float freely. Because when it floats, you don't really know. So you'll start making deals off of kind of like what you think you got, and you'll get caught off guard with something, right?
That's actually really, really incredible that you bring this up because I'm the polar opposite.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't budgeted a single dime in my whole life. I don't, I mean, maybe I did back a long time ago, but I don't budget these things because I feel like it's a scarcity mindset. And as long as I think it's a scarcity mindset,
well, I promise when you budget, you'll still feel like a scarcity mindset, probably more so, because you're like, wait, I don't have any extra money. When you do, because it's all in your envelopes, but you're like, I feel poorer than I've ever been, but you'll be more secure than you've ever been.
That is true, and I do it for the mortgage side because it's expensive, but I don't do it for like this event, for example. This thing didn't even hit my wish list until an hour before I was here. You know, and then I've spent 3 days here, and I've handed out cash for giveaways of $300 or $400 in equivalent, and I feel so good about it. I can be broke. I don't care. Like, I swiped my card on some, I don't know what it was. Like at a gas station, I grabbed a drink, for example, with no second thought of what it was. I paid an advertising bill. I bought this. I bought that. I ran out of my phone case today. I don't have a budget for that. I just buy a new phone case.
Right.
You know, so my mind is wired on, if I'm running out, just go make more. It doesn't even compute spending less. It doesn't even know, and Grant Cardone talks about this. He says, if your lifestyle is creeping, you're gonna have to make sure you work with it so that you can keep it full. Dave Ramsey does the other way. He says, make more money and then creep your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I do think it's a safer way. Don't get me wrong.
You'll get caught off guard the first way. You will. You'll get going and you won't be paying attention and you'll be like, oh geez, I need an extra 50 grand. I don't have
Hence
it
the
right now.
flooded house and rather than no cash.
So and I don't do any rentals right now. Everything I have is commercial. I don't have a lot, but what I have now is hands off. I'm not a landlord currently, which is great. But I landlorded for a lot of years, and so each one of my rentals, I would have fix-it repair money, right? So I'd have my rent was coming through, paying for the mortgage, but then I didn't know when they were going to call and be like, hey, this fridge is broken. I need a new fridge. So I built an envelope that I would put into, and then I knew it was there. Like I could forget about it because I knew that whatever they called for, if I had a flood, I had a deductible on the house. I had my deductible envelope for the house for the insurance. I just knew it was there, and as soon as it happened, I was like, "Oh, here's the envelope."
Yeah.
Now I have to replenish that over the next few months, but it was already there. It was already budgeted. It was already there. And Christmas comes around, I'm not like, "Man, I got to come up with a couple $100 to pay for my kids." No, just grab a Christmas envelope. It's already full. Because I've been putting into it $200 a month, $100 a month, every month for the last 12 months.
There's a lot of reasons why you're the perfect guy to talk to about this, but you literally grew up in this. And I grew up not only not in it, but also hating the entire industry of it. So I don't think I've got financial advice from someone that sits at the bank since I was 16 and they told me the first time to get a job. Like, that was probably when I decided bankers were not what to listen to, right? And so it's intriguing now that I'm 23, have gone through multiple losses of money, and these surprise attacks are just like, I didn't know I was going to pop a tire today, and it's like, I didn't budget for this. I don't have any way to pay this off. And all of a sudden I go from overdrive to like triple overdrive hustle,
Yeah. Your crypto is your high risk, hope it triples envelope. And so as you get your next paycheck, let's say you make your next 50 grand, whatever it is, you're going to take that and you're going to divide it up.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, hey, I got to make sure I fill this envelope back up. I got to fill this one back up. I got to fill it back. Now this amount that's left over, I can kind of do what I want with those envelopes, but none of it's free floating. It's investment, next investment. It's all goes into a category. Every dollar has a name, and that's a Dave Ramsey thing. That's not my thing.
It doesn't have to. Yeah, it's your thing in my life.
Yeah.
Even if it's his thing in your life, it's your thing in my life, because I haven't ever met you before at this event, and we've had an incredible time together, and I learned a ton about that. And it's neat that you pull that up, because it's a really good concept, regardless of how bad I don't necessarily agree with him for my life, right?
Let me tell you an example, because a lot of times, the way you're doing it now, I don't know if you realize this, but you're in a mindset of, I can make more to compensate for whatever I'm doing now, right? And that's not bad, as long as you can stay ahead of it, meaning you keep your earning out here, right? An example of this, I was at the bank one time. So I did financial planning for almost 20 years, and I'd see a lot of people at the bank that I worked at, the regional bank that I worked at for half of that time. So they'd come in, they'd have a need, they have some money, they have a question, they'd send them over to me as the licensed and registered financial advisor. And so I had this guy come in, and I said, hey, what can I help you with? He was like in his early 30s, and he says, I need help budgeting. I was like, perfect, like let's talk. I mean, nothing sexy about it. Like I'm a salaried employee, so I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm just trying to help out. If people want to invest, open up a trading account, do whatever, happy to help, right? He wanted to budget. I was like, okay, sweet. Pull out a piece of paper and like, what's the deal? He says, all right, let's get started. He says, how much do you make? I says, what's your monthly income? He goes, 50 grand. And
$50,000
a month, yeah.
a month.
And I said, no, your monthly income. He's like, no, that's what it is. 50 to 70,000 a month. And I was like, okay, and we're budgeting. We're working on a budget. Right? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay. I was like, I'm super intrigued. So I says, all right, start walking me through it. Give me a situation. And he says, well, I have this job, and it pays about 100 grand. My wife is a physician, and she makes 500,000-600,000 ish. And so we bring in 600,000-700,000, sometimes a little more, sometimes less a year. And I was like, okay. And I said, so tell me where it's going. I said, so 50 grand a month, 50, 60 grand a month. Okay, where is it? Let's talk about where it's going, right? Let's start breaking it down. He's like, okay, well, We both drive $100,000+ cars that are fully financed. Okay, all right, there's $1,000 per car, $1,200 per car. Great. Okay, we have a full-time nanny. Okay, we pay her. We have a huge house up in a prominent city, a vacation town. Okay, all right, there's a $10,000 mortgage. All right. We have a second home down in Arizona, right? Okay, there's another $8,000. Okay, we have this club, and I added them all. I literally wrote them down. I was like, yeah, $53,000. Okay, yeah, you're broke. So
no way to break it to you.
It doesn't, and he knew it though. He knew it. So he's like, yeah, I know. I'm so tired of living paycheck to paycheck. I was like, okay, we got to make some changes, right? So it didn't matter that he made $50,000 a month. I mean, talk to 16-year-olds about that. $50,000 a month.
They won't believe it though. That's the challenge
Exactly.
with the 16-year-olds is they won't believe that the problem exists. They don't even believe that the behavior could be the same if you'd add 4 more zeros. And I fully believe that a millionaire, multimillionaire, is running the same math calculations. They just add another zero. They're running the same everything. They run the same drama in their head, same emotions, everything.
Yep.
Like even if you have more stakes.
So that's what I'm saying. For you, it doesn't matter how many deals or how much success or like $1 million deals, multi-million. If the sooner, everybody has tendencies to manage this, and some of them are really strong and really good, and some of them might get by forever. But the sooner you learn to adopt some structure to those dollars, the more options it'll actually give you for whatever you want to do in the future. I had another buddy, great buddy, did videography. I watched him start from nothing. This year, he had doubled every year, doubled. He was on track to do like 600,000, very, very high margins normally on what he's doing. And he gets a hold of me and he says, hey man, I'm broke. And we went to lunch. I said, what do you want to talk about? He's like, I'm broke. I said, what do you mean? I said, how are you doing really good? He's like, oh, I'm killing it. I'm having the best year. I'm literally double what I did last year. I was like, okay, why are you broke? He's like, I don't know. My bank account's zero. My credit card's maxed out. The line that they do on my invoices through QuickBooks is maxed out. He's like, I just got back from vacation. I couldn't pay the $20 to get out of the parking garage. I was like, okay. And he's like, yeah, it's bad. And I was like, all right, well, what's the deal? He's like, I don't know. I says, okay, well, let's look into it, right? So we left lunch, we went back to his office, sat down in his office, and for like the next 3 hours, I'm like, all right, pull up your bank sheets, pull up your QuickBooks, like, let's just figure it out. And within a few hours, I was like, I think I found your problem, right? I pulled his expenses for the year. His income for the year, this was in November, his income for the year was $550,000. His expenses, I pulled up his expenses, went through all of it. His expenses were $650,000.
100,000 under.
Yeah. 100,000 under, and he'd had an investor come and put some money in, and that money was all gone too. And so he's like, oh, he had this mindset that he's doing so well that he could just buy that camera, buy that lens, buy whatever, because he was always out earning himself until he wasn't. And when it caught up to him, he was underwater. He had a $10,000 payroll due in 2 days.
Yeah, but the thing that my challenge is, my debate is, if I had a budget, I guarantee I wouldn't be in this room with you right now and me and Stu.
Who said that?
I would not. I literally would not be. If I had a budget that said networking, I would have $200 or $300 in it. I spent 3 G's a year. So where do you budget?
So you can have a discretionary envelope that is for those types of things. And if something comes up, sometimes you may have to pull from an envelope that wasn't what it was meant for. But the point is you know you did that. You know that envelope's now empty, right? So you have to manage that.
I'm tracking. It becomes
It's not about
focus. It becomes
it's just accountability.
measurement.
It's a super simple accountability. No spreadsheets, no nothing. It's just a bunch of envelopes.
Tony Robbins says, what gets measured gets managed.
Yeah.
And it's starting to track now. It's starting to track. So I literally need to build an envelope that says events and retreats, because I went to Miami, Florida for the networking event, and I get down there and I get so much value that I'm like, how did I even question signing up? And then I get back and I'm like, and I definitely couldn't afford that.
Right.
I spent $8,000 on the trip, and I got home and I was like, this is dumb. And then I was like, I just got to sell 2 more houses.
Yeah.
And so I sold 2 more houses, paid that off, whatever, got net zero, and it's great. But I do think that I need to have an entire fund that is named networking.
Yeah.
I actually like this, you know. And even if it's not an extreme for me, maybe it's one account that I add, one envelope that I add to my portfolio every month or 2 or 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's actually a good idea, especially if I start writing one up that says random acts of kindness, you know.
Absolutely.
That's what I do.
Charity, donations, yeah. I mean, absolutely. Kids' new bicycle, I mean, whatever. It's just an accountability, but it's not using a spreadsheet, it's not using technology, it's just a super simple, basic way of doing it. So just name your money, and it's more of a mindset. It doesn't have to be super sexy or super fancy, it just makes it so that you have some idea. And by naming your money, it's gonna force you to pay attention to, oh, I went and got that new phone, now my phone bill instead of being $130 a month, it's $180 because I'm paying for a phone for a while. Oh, I bought that new car, my insurance is now double what it was, right? So on a really, really small scale, it just forces you to be accountable for those small decisions that you're like, man, now I'm an extra $500 a month and I only make $1,500 a month. Now I'm upside down, but I could tell why, right? And you can make the adjustments. If like this guy that came into my office and was making 50 grand a month, until he took the time to break down and measure what was happening, all he knew is that when it came at the end of the month, he didn't have any.
Yeah.
I don't know why. He's just like, I don't have any. I'm trying to pay a bill and my account's like $2 grand. And I can't pay
Yeah. Oftentimes people say, where did your money go? And I'm like, I do not know where it went, but I can tell you I have a massive amount of equity in 5 different addresses.
Yeah.
So it probably ended up in there, you know.
Yeah.
I also have a major amount of information in my head that I didn't know before, that I paid for. I paid $8 grand for an incredible networking event. I came to start us with Stu. I spent way too much money here, and now I've learned from, like, this might change my life in the multiple millions.
Yeah.
This literally might be the difference between me filing bankruptcy in 2 years versus massive savings. You know? And also the other 5 podcasts I've recorded today, I learned about scaling business. I learned about everything, partnerships, and I just don't know how you even budget. Because see, if I don't have any money, I can't put it in an envelope. But if I go credit card thing, I'll actually do it. I'll pay it off, you know. And so that does keep me on the edge.
Sometimes you just have to build a hybrid that works for you, right? So we do a cash budget, but for us, like paying cash for gas doesn't work. So we just have a separate gas card, and we just use that, right? And so a couple other things like the mortgage, things like that, it doesn't make sense to actually physically put it in an envelope, because then I gotta like take it out, put it back in my bank account to pay my mortgage. And so things that we need to physically touch, like groceries and some other things, we do an actual cash envelope. It's literally just an envelope and $1,500 bills are in it. And then things that aren't, like my mortgage and some insurance, cell phone bill, I'm just gonna pay on my debit card anyways, that is kept out and it's just kept in my checking. But I do a budget every month. And now it literally
is it a board on the fridge? Or is it?
No, it's just an Excel spreadsheet, but it doesn't change a whole lot. But it takes me 10 minutes, 5 minutes. And I go through and I just do the budget real quick. I pull cash out of the bank. I'm like, here, hon. She's like, okay, great. She stuffs all the little envelopes, entertainment, fun, family fun. We do one for birthdays.
Yeah.
And so, Johnny, my son wants to go to a birthday, needs a birthday present. Great, here, send him $20. Let's go buy a present real quick. Pull it out of the birthday envelope, right? Yeah. And so we just know where it's all going. And there's still things that come up that we're like, that wasn't planned, that wasn't budgeted. And so it's easy to get away from you. But what will happen when I was your age, and the first time I started to just like, oh my gosh, 50 grand just come in my pocket. It's like, what? The thing is as a young age and being excited and being just exuberant for life, I had a mentality of I'll just outdo this and I'll just make more. I'll just make more. The problem is there was a few hits that I took that I'm like, I can make more, no big deal. It was 10 grand, no big deal. But then I took like a big hit and I was like, oh, that hurt. And it turns out that I can't really afford that.
Especially if it gets any bigger.
Right. So I had a few reality checks that I was like, okay, that was painful and it was totally avoidable. And so I found for me that the earlier I adopted this budget thing, that it actually opened up my ability to do more deals.
Dude.
And since then, my deals, I've done 15 of them in the last 12 years since I started doing budgeting.
It's wild because so many people are watching and saying, Steve, I told you, Steve, I told you, Steve, I told you. But it took me spending $3 grand that I couldn't afford to get over to a Stewie retreat that I couldn't afford to hang out with people that I couldn't afford to not hang out with.
Yeah.
And so when I'm sitting here talking to other entrepreneurs, I'm saying, look, you can't afford to not go hang out with a guy. You know,
Yeah.
like if you literally cannot afford in life to not hang out with Jason, I don't care if the bank disagrees with you. You need to hang out with people that own many businesses, have grown and realized that, like, this literally might be the difference between me making millions and not. You know, and it's humbling. It's really honestly humbling to realize I'm so close to complete eruption, and you're over here just saying, hey, you're probably, if you're not too late, you're pretty close, so get with it, you know, essentially saying that. And I know you wouldn't say it like that, but
I'm excited to hear back from you when you've implemented this, and the freedom you will feel when you're like, oh, wait a minute, I know every outcome now.
Yeah.
And it's managed. It's taken care of.
Yeah, I do have a minimum in the bank.
Yeah.
And so
that's good. Start there. Yeah.
And then a ton of stocks I could sell. But at the time of my flood, the stocks were all down, so I chose to not sell.
Right.
You know.
So when I do financial planning, I would tell people we would talk about budgeting. I was a big fan of managing debt. But I would say really you have like 3-ish buckets. You have your 3 to 4. Emergency money, safe money, the money you like to invest and do something with, but you really can't afford to lose any of it. You can't really afford to go down. So we keep it simple. Bond funds, CDs, high interest money market funds, something simple like that. And then we have your growth money. You're like, hey, this is your stuff that over the next 20 years, you're gonna grow. We would typically use mutual funds, not a lot of stocks, but a handful of different funds. And then we would do your accelerator stuff, your high risk stuff. And I basically say, whatever's in that bucket, you need to plan on being able to lose and feel okay, right? And or it'd be locked up for a long time while you wait for things to come back.
Yeah.
And so people would say, well, okay, I have $100,000, great. Let's break it up. Emergency fund, 3 months worth of expenses is what Dave teaches, and I really like that.
I agree with this.
Whatever that is, if it's $5,000 a month, great. $15,000 in your emergency. You're conservative, okay, let's take another $15,000 and put it in there. So now we're up to 30,000. We got
6 months.
we still got 7,000 left to play with, and so maybe we take of that 70, we maybe take 50 and go ahead and put that in your growth fund. That if you had to get to it, you could. But the idea is to leave it in and let it grow over the next 20 years, and then that leaves you 20,000 for your high risk stuff. And then go ahead, do those crazy stocks, do those the crypto, whatever you think might double, triple, quadruple, and let that go with that. But now, worst case scenario, you lose the 20,000 instead of the 100,000 you were playing with.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a managing of a worst case scenario, right? So crypto, it's like, well, I just need to know worst case what's going to happen.
Zero. Yeah. Then you go to zero.
Yeah.
Essentially.
As long as you're okay with that, good.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. It's. Oh no. Yeah. We'll just wrap it up. But thanks a ton for your time. I've learned a lot in budgeting, and
It's not sexy, but I promise it'll change things.
It's super simple.
For good.
And that's the thing is like, Dave Ramsey, I just didn't pay him enough to tell me to not spend less than I make. But yeah, thanks so much.
Yep. Thank you.
Appreciate it.